We're live.
Yeah, and obviously watch my language.
Yeah, if you can. If not, I can always do the whole beep.
No, I'll just mind my manners.
I try my best. Hi, welcome back to Unique Minds of the Okanagan. I'm Rob O'Day, and we're on location in Penticton with Scott Panov, a local metal artist who uses upcycled and donated materials to make masterpieces. How are you, my friend?
Good, Rob. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you for having me. Well, let's get right away with who you are, where you're from, and how you got into metalworking.
Well, my name's Scott Panov. Born and raised in Penticton, British Columbia. Got into metalworking through. I'm a collision repair technician by trade. That exposed me to working with metal in general, and over time there was little projects. It's like, oh, someone's birthday, maybe I'll make something, but I never really put a lot of thought into it. And then around, it's about 9.5 years now, I got divorced, and around that time, I just got an idea in my head to make this little goalie guy. I should have brought him up. Nuts and bolts, pretty simple. I saw a couple things in the shop, and it just inspired me, and then once I did it, it was like, this doesn't look terrible. Like I actually had the proportions not too bad, the positioning of the like all the appendages and all the rest of it. And so I worked a way to kind of perfect that and did a few different poses, and then it just kind of took off from there. It took a life of its own. It was, seeing some stuff online. A huge inspiration has been a lot of the other artists out there, looking at what people are doing, and quite honestly, this might not sound super nice, but trying to do different things than others are doing, because there's a lot of repetition out there in this. The people post like making a shovel with this and that and everything else on Pinterest or whatever, and guys are doing that kind of stuff. I'm trying to like go a step above that and really challenge myself, finding different ways to display pop culture and different kind of things that I like in a way that's never been done before.
Yeah, and I think you definitely have made it to that level where the stuff that you create is like, that's mind-blowing. And not only mind-blowing, but it also has like a niche market in some aspects where, like, if you're a hip-hop fan or you love rap culture, like, there's a lot of things that you've built within that artistic industry that is mind-blowing to me, like the Wu-Tang sign and the bee and the Run the Jewels hands, like those things that you've created, and then you do so many other unique creations that are just like, the way you say you're pushing yourself, it's definitely, that's like the artist in you. I feel that is like, even the 2-year difference that since we've spoke last, it's crazy to see the evolution of your artwork.
Oh, thanks, man. It's just continually looking to challenge myself, which is at sometimes a detriment, because I'll get into a piece and it'll be like that's where I love Lego on the side, is because like Lego comes with instructions and I can sit down and just follow the instructions and still get that kind of same sense of gratification. Mm-hmm. But like working on this stuff, I got to drop the instructions in here. I'm not a talented drawer or mathematician by any stretch, so it's just kind of figuring it all out on the fly. And it's been super fun this week, getting like right back on the horse and like starting to check off some of these projects that I've been sitting on for a little while, and problem solving to keep them. One of my favorite things was we had done the art walk. I want to say this was last fall, and there was a fella that had come in and was looking at a few of my pieces, and he's like, I'm a fabricator and I can't figure out how you did this. And like that to me was like the most unreal compliment, because somebody who actually does this stuff for a living was looking at it going, how did he do this? And it's the kind of thing I go for. Like that's what I love about art, is just like, how did they think of this? How did they, and so just trying to get that wow factor out of people. I guess it's super rewarding to be able to actually show some stuff now, like, and see people's reaction to it.
Right. I mean, the bee alone, like when you showed us the bee that you finished or the wasp that you finished last time, it still sticks in my mind because of how intricate it was and then what it was made from. So it's not like you're like buying pieces of metal that are specific. Like you're breaking things down and recycling and finding things and upcycling things and creating these masterpieces is the only word that comes out. Like I've never seen somebody do the level that you do with upcycling
Well,
and artwork.
While I can appreciate that, there's definitely some more talented people than myself out there doing larger scale type stuff. There's a few like guys that I follow on Instagram, or I don't know if you've seen like Metal Shop Masters. Like,
No, I've seen the one dude who did the giant dragon.
yes, that's Kevin Stone.
Okay.
And he was based out of Chilliwack. He's now in Las Vegas, and yeah, like
Wow.
his stuff is like that's even. Well, they're working with new material, building fresh
Exactly,
stuff.
that's why
It's a different kind of industry, but
Yeah.
but there's like a dude, Jordan Spriggs in Australia, that makes these like life size, like I don't even know what some of these animals are, but like kangaroos, and like I saw the other day a video where he was making a rooster for Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, wow.
And it's all made out of recycled stuff, and like
Love
his
it.
stuff, like when I see his stuff, it inspires me to do better, because yeah, I look at it and it's like, how did he figure that out? How did he map that out? How did he get the proportions just right? How did he find these exact pieces to fit? Like, so like you're looking at it and it's like, did he even cut anything? Or did he just like assemble this thing? Like, I don't know. Yeah, who knows where it's going to go, you know? I like mix and matching a little bit. Like sometimes it's found material and it's rusty. Sometimes it's more of a fabrication challenge. I don't know, it's just whatever pops into my head and what's inspiring me in life, really. Like that's been the driving force. Like whatever's going on is usually what sparks the imagination, and sometimes it's like you said, just seeing the piece in the shop, you know, and it's just like that's what that's meant to be, and then it turns into that.
I always find that's funny that you were mentioning like if he like cuts certain pieces, because the art style that you do, I find very like. Do you remember Art Attack,
Yeah.
the TV show,
Oh, yeah,
where he would
yeah.
like build those giant cool murals on the fields and stuff? Like, and he's just taking these random pieces. And like
I love
that's how
that show when I was a kid.
right,
yeah.
and that's how I feel. Is like you're finding these like oh, that's part of a rib cage, and like that's this, and then it just turns into this giant beautiful piece of work. I'm like curious about have you ever thought about doing those, like, you know, those ones where they're like at a distance you see, and if you're at the right angle it creates
Yes.
like, those things are
So
insane.
the
I don't know what they're called, optical illusions or something.
I don't really know either. But yes, I actually have an idea I've been sitting on for a few years now, where I want to make like an abominable snowman in my front yard, and do it all of like slats. So like to look at it dead on, you wouldn't really like, or even driving by, be like, what was that? But when it snows, and the snow collects on each little ledge, and then it'll come to life, and you'll see that it's this abominable snowman.
That's so cool.
And yeah, as soon as I thought of the idea, I was like, nobody steal my idea. Here's a record right here that it was
Right,
mine
yeah.
first.
I don't
But
think it'd be. I think it would take a really.
there's gonna be a lot of trial and error.
Yeah,
because
I think it would take like a very like an.
probably
It's
a few.
your idea, so I feel like the motivation behind it being your creation versus somebody being like, "Oh, it's a good idea. I'm gonna try it." They're gonna be like, "No, I'm not doing this. This is way too hard."
It's going to be interesting, because you're going to have to space everything just right so the snow collects on each one, because if you've got like one plate sitting on top of another plate, that bottom one's not going to get the snow, so everything's going to have to be like offset a little bit.
Slightly shifted, yeah.
So I still haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be like a weird mathematical.
I'm thinking
equation.
I'm going to figure it out out of cardboard first and build the whole thing, and then that way I'll have an idea of the, you know, just to be able to visually look at it,
Yeah.
and because then I can dismantle that and just replicate it. And so
Yeah.
I find that's honestly like, I've got a drawer full. Like that's my main medium, is building out of cardboard, and then I just transition it to steel.
That's crazy. With the like creation process, how do you find the right pieces? Because like two spoons can be made out of different materials, right? And that can affect the way you're working with it.
Yeah, it's
Or like
like
different steels. Like does that, when you're working with it, are certain materials harder to work with?
oh, for sure, because like certain, well, you've got like in ferrous and non-ferrous metals, so either like iron rich or non-iron rich. So I can't weld to the non-ferrous metal, so your brass, copper, things like that. You can kind of glue things together, brazing or whatever, but I'm limited with the equipment that I have, and when I come across those challenges, like the bee is a perfect example where I incorporated some brass into it, then I'll just find a way to like string a bolt and a nut through to join things together in a different way, so I can incorporate those non-ferrous metals into the sculpture without having to like essentially glue it together. Because yeah, you can't see how it's held together, and then again, you're looking at it going, how did he attach that to that? When it's all hidden up under the inside, it doesn't really matter. It's just as long as it stays there.
Yeah, that was the one thing that really was like, I think why the bee stands out to me is because like you could not see how it was put together. And that's the thing, is it's like there's tons of metal artists out there who do little like knickknacks and things like that because they're easy to put out and produce. But I feel like the fact that you push yourself with like these Mario themes and like the thwomp is probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And it's just like, it's huge. It's like, it's a solid piece of metal, but it's so detailed. It's just like, it blows my mind that you can take like the pop culture references and like the things that are what inspired you as like a child, like Lego or like Nintendo and hip hop, and turn them into these like beautiful pieces of art. It's just, it blows my mind being a musician who's not like a creative person in that aspect. Like it's thrilling to watch and see.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to like we'll be tools on in a little bit here and be able to check out some of the process, and yeah, I like, thanks, man. It's humbling. You're a very talented individual yourself, so and there's a lot of talented people out there. So yeah, it means a lot.
What's been the biggest challenge for you as you've like developed your skill sets and you've grown as an artist?
Honestly, motivation. While I've also been ramping things up on this side of my life, I've been ramping things up in my personal career, or like my actual like paying job, which comes with more responsibility and it's a little bit more taxing. So again, like having those instructions, like I will rely on the easier outcome sometimes, because I still want that feeling, but yeah, it's finding the time, I guess, is what I'm finding now, is I have to be a little bit more deliberate. I have to plan a little bit more. Like this week is a perfect example. It was like, you know what? My work life is allowing me to feel comfortable enough to take some time off right now, and I'm sitting on 8 projects. Some of them I've had for multiple years, and it's like, now's the time. And so we've just been hammered down on the shop this week and banging off some stuff that's been sitting around for a while, and it's feeling pretty good so far. I'm happy with how things are going, and it's just making me motivated to do more, because yeah, it's that feeling, man. It's chasing that feeling. There isn't much that touches when I'm finally like going, okay, any more is too much. Like this is just right. And I can only imagine, like as a musician, how difficult it is, because it's like oh, should we throw another element in there? Or, but at some point you got to stop, because it's you're burning it now, kind of thing. So it's yeah, it's been, those have been the biggest challenges, I guess, is really just finding the time, making the time, and knowing when to stop.
I think it's definitely, like, I can relate to that with like sitting on projects, and sometimes I find like you're meant to start something but not finish it then. Like there's supposed to be like that initial inspiration that gets it started, and then you put it down for a bit, almost to let it live before it grows up and finishes. And like kind of like with music, like I'll start ideas multiple times, won't touch them for months or years, and come back and be like, oh, okay, here's the bridge to that, and then there's the final part, and like then it's like, if I didn't wait that time to have like the experiences, life experiences, or like let the project itself live for a little bit to like grow, I don't think it would be where it is.
No, I 100% agree, dude. Like that blue turtle shell is a perfect example. Like I was tempted. I wanted to look back on Instagram to see, because I posted it when I started, and I was like, this is going to be the coolest thing I've ever made. And I'm pretty sure that was like 3 years ago. And actually, I made a stupid post online about it, how I'd been sitting on it, and people were like, oh, that must be so uncomfortable. But yeah, like getting the time in yesterday and actually getting some of those tiles, like, because sometimes it's the fear of messing it up. Like I had an idea in my head, and when I started trying to do it and it wasn't working out, I put it down, because it was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to overcome this challenge, and I could see it was only going to get more challenging. And then yeah, enough time went by where I was just like, hey, you know what? Do I need those plates to be that thick? It would look cool if they were, but so go with some thinner plates. And now that I've got it like to where it's at, it's like, I should have just done this all along. It was actually quite achievable. And now I'm on the home stretch. Like, I'm hoping I'm going to have that done today. And it's like, yeah, it's super exciting. It was the first thing I thought of when I got up this morning.
That's so funny. I love that it's a blue shell too. So it's like, that's, pardon me, totally the one that I would sit on for a while too in the game. You know what I mean? Like, you want to hold on to that one until like final round. We're on the final stretch, and then boom. So it's kind of, I think it's kind of like appropriate that that's what it was too. What's been your favorite project to date?
Oh gosh,
I love this because it's usually the one that most people are like, oh, it's not the most extravagant. It's like, it's the weirdest one they've ever done. That's usually their favorite. So what's yours?
You know what? Here, I'm gonna grab it because it's right here.
That just tucks into your pocket and it should be fine. It's incredible, some of the work that he's done. Even the stuff that's behind the camera. He's got a giant Donkey Kong keg. It's awesome. Okay.
I'd say this was one of my favorite ever, because this was a personal piece. When my grandfather had passed away, he was a big fisherman. And he loved to go like mountain lakes, like that was his happy place to be. So, yeah, I'm still not done with this because I want to actually seat that boat in there a little bit better. It's something I'm maybe going to work at this week. But I'd made this for my dad after his dad had passed away. And making the hull of the boat, this is all one piece of steel. Like not the back piece, but actually I had to make a piece of cardboard that kind of, and like working with that thing, and then adding all the little details, like even just building the little fishing rod.
Like that's what I keep.
That was one of the most like don't screw it up, Scott moments. Like making that little weld on the winder. Like there was some high pressure moments during this. So like once I got it done, and then got like the cattails in there and everything else. Like I said, it ended up after my dad passed away.
Too, right?
Yeah, I made that out of a wine cork.
That is so cool.
And then, yeah, it ended up coming back to me after my dad passed away. So I get to enjoy it all the time. And it reminds me of all those fishing trips that we used to do when I was a kid. You know, my grandpa used to call me his little fisherman. I was the only grandson, so I was like, by design, I had to like fishing.
Right.
So and we used to do a lot of that when we were kids. So yeah, no, that was... if I had to pick a personal favorite that probably hasn't got a lot of attention, that would be the one.
It's really cool. The boat itself too is like really well shaped.
Well, it's neat because the oars all work and everything turns. They come out if you want them to. Like, and there's a little 6-pack in the bottom with one of them missing. couple empties.
Couple empties. I love that. It's hilarious.
That's my grandpa.
That is so cool. And it's like, that's what I mean by like your artwork, is it's like, you think of things that most people wouldn't think of, like the oars turning or being able to come off, like things like that just kind of add those little elements. I love the wrenches in there. Like I love the 7/8 there and the 7/8 there. Those are hilarious. And the engine pops off.
Yeah, made a little prop out of a wing nut and I don't know, some kind of electrical clamp.
I was gonna ask. It kind of looked like a spark plug almost, but it's not.
Yeah, I think it's
the way it's cut. It looks like it's a spark plug.
attaching cables or wires together, something like that. I don't know. That's the thing that I'm so fortunate. I've got so many people that have, like, but friends last fall. My uncle passed away. We've sold everything that we can. Do you want to come clean out his garage?
Yeah.
And like 2 truckloads later, like
Wow.
so much material. Like, and really the only exchange, like I got to make them a project out of it because that's what they asked for. But like, I'm super excited to do it because I know it's going to be really, really meaningful for them. And I know what they want. We're going to make a billy bass because he really liked to fish.
That's cool.
And he was a welder himself. So I've got a lot of really cool material set aside for that and going to build it out like basically on something similar. Like you know billy bass, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So yeah, it's going to be pretty neat. I've never done anything like that before.
Right.
So
Are you gonna make like the scales and everything, like interlocking?
I've got some expanded steel that he had, so I think I'm gonna
Cool.
stretch that over top of everything to give it that element. But I still.
Right, that's what I love because it's like there's like the instructions, like you were saying, where it's like you can follow the instructions and know that you're gonna get to that finish line and that sense of joy. Is there a different sense when you get to the finish line of a project that you had to create in your own mind? And it's just like there's so many trials and tribulations, and to finally get to the end, and you're just like, yes, this is it.
100%. There's a wall of shame inside the shop. Like there's been a few times. Well, the bee, I made one of the wings, like 2 the same side. You should have seen the fist that I made for the Run the Jewels hand the first time around. I was like, really? I have one of these right in front of me the whole time, and it looked terrible. So there's been a lot of times where I've had to go back and start from scratch and just kind of figure it out. It's just try not to get discouraged. You always learn something from every experience, and as time's gone on, I'm learning more and more like cheats, quicker ways to do something. Just even holding things together, and because that can be some of the challenge when you're dealing with really intricate stuff, is like, how do you like when I was like, how do you can't vice grip all this together and even have a spot to weld. So like, it's like laying it down on the table and taping everything in place, and like, just don't breathe deep.
Yeah.
It's
like, and that, like, it's so intricate and small. Like, my hands are so fumbly that I couldn't make things like that. Like, I can play guitar and I can play piano and stuff, but that's because it's like, I'm not building something, you know what I mean? If that makes sense. Like, it's just like, oh, I just have to put my hand in this position and strum, and it does what it needs to. But like, trying to create something where you're like trying to physically hold it together and then weld, I'm like, I can't do that. I suck at that. That's why I suck at painting too. I'm terrible at painting because I just like don't have that eye to physical thing. It's like ear. Mine's like all ear-based auditory. So it's like visual things are like very mind-blowing to me.
Well, I think a lot of it I would credit to my career in collision repair, because when you're working on cars, you can't always work in position. Like, you can't be over top of a table with everything in front of you in the nice, perfect way that you would want.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're up underneath. At least I don't have to do that in there. And I'll just try and move things to a workable position, and then secure them, and just kind of hope for the best sometimes. Honestly, sometimes I'm pulling the trigger on the welder, just like, don't burn through. And if you mess up, that's kind of the beauty with metal too, is that unless you actually ruin the piece, like, you can cut it, grind it, weld some more on, do whatever you have to do, and redo it. It's not the same as woodworking, where like, you cut it, you're done. You can't. It's going to kind of look terrible if you glue it together afterwards. So, but we try and avoid that if at all possible. I like to get everything right the first time if I can. But
Like, metal's definitely like, you can add to it as where what is take away. That's where I think that's where I'm better with woodworking than I am with like painting and stuff, because painting is always adding. You're adding layers and adding elements to it, as where like if you're carving or like building something, you're taking elements off of it to get it to where you need. I definitely have a struggle with like the building up of versus the taking away. And I think that's I think that's what really appeals to me about artwork that is like painting, like even the glass work, the metal work. Sculpting is one that really I've always wanted to sit down with a sculptor, and when they do like the clay faces that are like so they just start with a ball and then it ends up this masterpiece, and there's how do you see this and then make it like it's just mind-blowing.
Well, on that front, like some of these people that I follow online, when you see that they will make these clay sculptures and then make a mold of it and then fill it full of like nuts and bolts or whatever else and weld it up from the backside, and then but you have to come up with that initial, you need that, what do you want it to look like? And it's like, yeah, like stuff like that's still mind-blowing to me. Like there's so many elements to working with metal that I haven't even explored yet. That's what excites me, is like, do I get a forge one day? Now I'm playing with hot metal.
I would love to do that.
Yeah, like there's so many different things you can do. And yeah, I'm kind of like with cars, I filled my bucket with that stuff. This is more fun now.
Do you think you'd ever get into like blacksmithing or like knife making? Because I think you can make some crazy cool knives.
I have no doubt that I could, but I think I'd get bored.
Yeah, fair.
I like to change it up so much where it's like one thing is completely different than the other. Like I've been working on, yesterday was a found object, the sculpture with that barber chair.
Yeah.
And then today, now I'm back fabricating, and it fills a different bucket.
Yeah.
And it gives a different, the reward's different. I don't know, it feels different.
I relate it to being like a producer. So like you have to do all the different aspects to the album. So you get to do like the engineering, the recording, the mixing, the mastering, kind of like you get to do all the elements instead of having to focus on one, which is like or metalworking or like blacksmithing. So you can like dive out and do all these different aspects. And it also kind of leads you into so many different areas, being the skill set that you have and the region that we're in. Because there's a lot of people who like are open to the arts, and you see like the city with the giant T-Rex, you know what I mean? Like things like that. There's like Penticton is very inclusive about its arts community. And I think that it's just the hardest part, especially for your artistic platform, is it's metal. It's really heavy to move. If you want to do like a gallery, it's going to be really difficult to get everything there because it's heavy, and then you've also got to like worry about it breaking on the way.
That's pretty much why when we moved everything down to the Tumbleweed last November, the majority of it stayed.
Yeah.
It honestly, when we got home and we reorganized the house a little bit to fill the gaps, it was like, okay, well, it doesn't really look like anything's missing. And yeah, it was a lot to move everything down there. And like, yeah, once I've got plans for a couple larger sculptures down the road, and yeah, you're starting to involve crane trucks and stuff like that. And it's got to hold together too, because you got to yard on that thing and get it in the air. You can't have it falling apart. It's gonna be interesting once we start going down that road. But the one there that I've got, that's kind of I haven't been able to let go of the idea, is to do the piranha plant, but like an 8-foot tall version of that.
Be so heavy.
But I've got like the barrel, and I've got like a what I can use, like it's a planter basket that would be like a perfect stencil to make the bottom and top of the head. And
okay.
I've got most of it mapped out in my head. It's just finding a way to make the leaves not sharp, because they typically are. Because you got something that scale, and if you were to put it down, say a lakeshore or something like that, it's got to be safe for people.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably still a few years off. But I've got some of the parts set aside, and it'll start getting worked on at some point in time.
I can imagine that'd be a hard one to gather pieces for too.
Oh,
so much that would have to go into it.
Well, I think most of it I can build out of scrap and just make it look like I didn't.
I mean, that is true. You do have the skill set to do that.
Like by the time you get, like, the domes don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
Although, like, maybe I'll be able to source something where I can get like a giant propane tank and cut the ends off of it, or who knows.
Right.
It's gonna give it some time. That seems to be kind of like you said, if things get sat on, eventually the right things come along, and it's like, okay, here we go.
I've been living by the universe drops it into your lap when you need it.
It's 100%, man.
That's like been my thing this year. Is just if it's there and it's presented to you, go with it. If it's not, then don't. And put it to the back burner for a bit.
Life has a way of putting things in your path when the time is right, for sure. And I don't find that this is any different. It's just, whether it's people or situations, and even when they're bad, sometimes that ends up being something that helps you turn into a better person. And
I feel like failure is the best thing for any artistic person.
Yeah, I think just for people in general, as a hockey player, I always learned more from losing than I did from winning, because you're having to sit back and self-assess and what could I have done better, what went wrong, what went right, did I try hard enough, like all these things. You're holding yourself accountable, and yeah, when you're working in the arts, if you've got a picture in your head and it needs to be that, it's humbling, for sure. Like that's why I keep the wall of shame. It reminds me to stay humble. No matter how awesome something is, I still mess that up that time. And it's good. It helps drive, wanting to do better, I guess. It's and it makes the successes that much more sweet. And when you're sitting back at the end of the day and you're like, oh my God, I don't think I could have done any better at that. It's a good feeling. There isn't much that touches it.
Yeah. So I like to relate that feeling to like when I was doing landscaping, and we were like running our own company doing landscaping, and then you start with a project and it's just dirt and rocks on a yard, and you show up, and by the end of it, it's just this like oasis. You're like, it's a good feeling.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because that's like this, I guess the closest I could relate to being like artistic is like being in a garden or like as a gardener, because I love flowers and stuff like that. So there's the thing about artists that I really enjoy is I've never met two artists that are the same. Whether it's they do the same discipline, or like everyone is so individually unique. There's two people who paint the same style are just so different, and like you see, like there are other metal workers in town, but I think I relate to your stuff more because it is very like out of the box, and it's different. Because you like this, or like you relate to horror films and hip hop, and like that's what I'm drawn to as well, or video games. And I find that it's like anyone can make like the figurines that you were talking about, you know what I mean? Like anyone can start off and start doing that, but to get to a level where you're building an 8-foot tall piranha plant, that's more than skill. That's like almost like a natural divine interjection of like your being an artistic ability, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it kind of feels like that will be, I think that will be my kind of, it's the best way to word that. It'll be like my announcement to, getting really out there. It's nice to have stuff in the gallery and have people see it on a regular basis and stuff, but actually putting something out there that people, like lots of people are going to see. It would be like, that would be my goal. It would be to get on that art walk eventually for the city of Penticton. It's kind of nice because they lease. There's one in Castlegar that a lot of people have been pushing me at, but those ones go up for sale at the end of the art walk. So the goal would be to build it, put it here, move it, take it there maybe, see what happens. I don't know. It's all down the road though.
That's a whole aspect that you also don't think about being an outside perspective, is like musicians, we have stages, we have festivals, we have music videos, we have all these other outlets where we can put our music into. Being an artist that builds sculptures and stuff, like how difficult is it to get it to go to a gallery or to have a location where it stays and then travel's like, how does that even start, that process? Like, I know how to book a show from A to Z or a festival, but like getting those steps is like the hardest steps I find for artists, whether it's like, oh, how do I get my paintings on a wall so somebody sees it, or how do I get my sculpture seen? That process is...
Yeah, I've been lucky and just basically made friends. Like when Jenny had her studio downtown, I'd put some of my artwork in there for a time. And then meeting Vanessa through the Tumbleweed, doing like all the Lego mosaics. She was doing all my framing work, and then we learned that she's a painter and I do sculpture, and they check stuff out. And next thing you know, we got invited for the art walk, and I haven't tried to force it because I don't necessarily... Well, I can't meet the demands of, like, if things were to sell and they're like, we need more inventory. I have a day job. I don't have the capacity to just jump on that kind of thing, and we're not mass producing stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been something totally foreign, to be honest. We're trying this out right now. There's no pressure. They're really good to us. I think at some point in time, I got to start thinking a little bit bigger and trying to just get myself out into different galleries. And like, I don't know, like I was thinking, it's like, well, what if we go to Vancouver for a weekend and we throw some of the mosaics in a shopping bag and the piranha plant and a couple things, and we just go and show up somewhere and be like, hey, have a look at what we've got to offer, and
Yeah.
the Instagram and stuff like that has been great, because that's helped me build a bit more of a following. I don't put as much effort into it as I probably should, because I think if I was promoting more, I could be growing it more. But in time, that's the thing, is if everything sold tomorrow, like I'd be like, what do I do? That's not the plan. I'm not in it for the money. It's for what it's doing for me, and just exploring more of what my potential is with this stuff. Like I said, 9.5 years ago, I never really even considered this something that was my skill, and it's been really, really fun to just continually like try new things. And like I still can't believe that it was just like, yeah, I'm gonna make a boat. And it's like, really, there was a portion of the way through that process where I was just like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this to myself? But it was important. So, and there's definitely a few times where I found myself like, yeah, why am I doing this? But when you get over that hump and you get to the, I'm sure it's no different when you're a musician and you're on the road and you're going, oh my God, like I just want to go home and sleep in my bed and have a home cooked meal, and everything comes at a price. So
The moment that I hear Andy go 1, 2, 3, 4, that all fades away. No matter how stressed I am, and that's like kind of, we put ourselves through so much grief, friction, and turmoil as artists for the things that we love to build, just for that moment. And it's like you're saying, you're always chasing this. It's almost like a high. Right, like it is.
That's the thought that crossed my mind when, it's like chasing the dragon a little bit.
It's really
like
difficult because like I took 7 years off music, and in that 7 years I fell into the worst depression and worst everything of my lifetime was when I didn't have that outlet. And now that I've realized that like I need music and I need like film and I need to be creative, and it's like the moment that clicked was the moment I was like, that's what I need to be doing with my life. No matter what I have to do to make that my life, I have to do it. So the universe kind of gave me that, I feel. And it's when you like, I heavily believe in manifestation, and that if you want something hard enough and you work for it, the opportunities will be presented. And I think that because you're not chasing fame or fortune, you're chasing art, and to push your art, that it will come, like those options to have giant galleries or sell a piece to an art, like a...
Even if it doesn't, honestly, man, I would be satisfied with becoming famous after I was gone.
Well, that's the thing about artists, right?
Because I don't really care. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not really chasing it. Like I love hearing the praise, and I love seeing people's reaction to it. but deep down, I'm doing it for myself.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, right?
Like
at
it
the
is,
end of the
it is a
day,
selfish thing. It's
well, we all are as musicians, right? Like,
well, you have to be, because if
as
you were
artists,
making
sorry.
music for me,
Yeah.
like you wouldn't make good music.
But, and
Because
that's the thing with art too, right? Like painting, woodwork. Like my daughter's great uncle, he's an amazing woodworker here. His name's Neil, and he's just
the Stickman.
yeah, Stickman. He's
yeah.
an amazing
Oh,
artist.
100%.
The
Painter,
stuff that he does,
carver, everything.
right? And it's just like each individual, like that's what I was saying by like creative people, like unless you see them doing what they do and they're in their element, it's hard to like picture what somebody can do. Like, oh, I'm a musician. Oh yeah, cool. Like you play music, or like I make metalwork. Then you see it and you're like, whoa, this is you. It's not something you do. It's like there's a difference between it being that hobby and being a lifestyle. And a lifestyle is something that you'll always do, whether or not you're making money off of it or it's making it anywhere. It's because it's what you love. It's what you do. As we're like a hobby, something you pick up and put down. You pick up and put down. We're always going to have these like moments of, why am I doing this? I have it daily. Every day I'm like sitting there trying to book a tour or a show or something. I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, I'm planning to go away from home when I'm a homebody. I don't like leaving the house, but all I'm focused on is I need to be on the road. And it's just because like that's the art form that I'm in, right? Like I have to constantly be pushing to move further and further places and meeting new people. And I think that, like you were saying,
A bigger stage.
Yeah, or just even like networking at shows that
Yeah.
I'm not performing at, right? Like that's why I host shows, is because like we just want to give back as much as we can from what we've been given. But it's almost impossible to ever give back the amount of love that you've been given with your artwork, right? Like even if it's one person who's just like, your artwork saved my life, or has like changed my perspective on things, that's more valuable than any world tour in my mind, or giant art gallery that you could be in. Is helping someone through your art versus like making money off of it. It's more valuable in any art form that you do. And I think that I was talking about this with my interview last week, Zach. Like as musicians, we have a duty. Like it hits a certain point where it stops. Like I'm writing music to write music, and I'm writing music to make a message. Like there's something I have to say that needs to be heard. And I feel like artwork has that same concept, but it's just so physical, because music is auditory, and like artwork will last forever. I don't think music will, if that makes sense. Like we don't have music from the medieval times, the Roman times. We don't, but we have artwork from there. And art has always been what defines culture. To be the leader of what defines a culture is kind of a really unique thing.
It's yeah, no, I don't disagree with any of that, and that is something that maybe I'm seeking a little bit. Like I don't know, like I see these guys that were on the Metal Shop Masters and doing this other stuff, and it's just like, wow. But I don't know if I can compete with those guys, to be honest. There's like, these are people that do this as their full-time job every day, and they have better equipment, and but just when it comes to the composition, and like one of the greatest compliments I got in the last few weeks is I commented on the winner, Thomas from the Metal Shop Masters. I commented on something on one of his posts, and next thing you know, he's on my page and he's like ding 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 ding, and it was just like, oh my god, like this guy is liking my stuff. And it's just like, yeah, it felt incredible, because it's like he sees me. Which, it is childish as that maybe sounds, like it is nice to get a little bit of recognition there. So yeah, I don't know, I'm just gonna keep chipping away at it, trying to have fun, find new ways to challenge myself, because I think that's, like, even just through this conversation, that's why I keep trying to do something more challenging, is because if I was to just meet that bar again, it's not going to give me that same feeling as when I go above it, and it's just going to keep pushing me to do better and be better and get more creative and find new ways to display my skill set and my creativity, because it's pretty neat when, yeah, I love the feeling when I sit back after looking at something's done and then it's like, okay, well, now we're on to the photo shoot, and, you know, can't wait to share this with people so people could see it. And yeah, it's unapologetically, you are chasing after it a little bit, but I think that just comes with the territory. Like, you know, I am making it for myself, but yeah, that feeling's multi-layered, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
We're all connected, right? And I feel like because as a species, we are a species, and like deer are connected with other deer, bears with other bears. Like humans are naturally connected, whether or not we're divided constantly by whether religious beliefs or political beliefs or music beliefs. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it could be anything, man.
We can all divide, but artwork is always the one thing that I feel that we always kind of like. There's no judgment, right? Like, yeah, you can look at a piece of art and be like, I don't like it, but like, you're not judging the person who created it because it is something that they created. And I think that naturally as humans, we kind of evolve, like, or gravitate towards the artistic people. Because, like, there's the builders, there's the followers, and then there's the visionaries. And, like, that's how I see the world. There's three sets of people. There's the ones who are, like, think of the concept that can change the world. There's the people who lead it, and then there's the people who make it happen. The artists are the visionaries. Like, if we didn't have Woodstock, can you imagine what kind of world we'd be in right now, right? Like,
no kidding.
Art has always pushed, like, the Renaissance, the entire Renaissance era was based off of artwork and, like, pushing these boundaries. And there was the artists being like, we can do different things. And, like, almost like it's our duty as artists to constantly be pushing the way we think and feel as humans to create a better future. But the mediums are becoming so vast. There's so many different art forms nowadays that it's, especially with social media, like, how do you get seen? How do you get out there? Before, if you were skilled, the word would spread. But now there's so many people out there that have skills in so many different avenues that it's kind of like, how can you get your little bit of shine? And that's where, like, I battle social media big time, because I hate being like, look at me. Even when I'm on stage, as you've seen, and my eyes are closed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm very shy on stage, even though I'm like an entertainer. It's just, there's a weird battle there, and I feel like all artists have that. We want to do good for society and change the world, but at the same time, we're like, stay away from me.
Yeah, there's definitely an awkwardness that comes with just even being complimented. Like, it's like, it's hard to take almost. Like, it's funny because it's something you said earlier, and you think of like how frequently, like, I'll post something and people will see it, but they won't necessarily like my post, or they'll never like my post. But I run into them in the grocery store and they're like, oh man, I see your stuff. It's amazing. And, you know, that's one of the first things that, like, people that I don't see around, like, often, I hear it all the time. And it's like, yeah, it's super flattering, but at the same time, like, kind of awkward, because I get what you're saying. It's like, well, naturally, I think being an artist, you're going to garner attention. Like, it's just part of the, you know, so you got to kind of embrace it, but at the same time, yeah, I think it would be different if social media wasn't such a look at me world, and we were competing against so many people who aren't artists that are look at me for a whole bunch of different reasons, you know. So it's strange times we live in, man. It really is. It's and really, I just try to not worry about any of it. Just do what I need to keep myself happy, and not have drama and conflict in life. Be making sure that I'm positively influencing the people that are around me and helping them be better people, and embracing the opportunities to become better myself as well, because a lot of these people have things to teach me too. It's like, even just this conversation today, it's like, help me, like where am I going? What is Scott doing?
I call them magic moments. And when we have our interviews, and it's like those epiphany moments when you're having the conversation with somebody, right? I tend to ask those kind of questions just because, like, I'm very good at seeing potential in somebody, and helping them like find where to push it, if that makes sense. Like, not that you had like you have the potential, you have the skill, you have all that, but like artists are so humble and they don't want to make it a business. And I'm like, your skill set, you could be living off this full time. Like, you wouldn't have to have a full-time job. It's very doable to make this your living, but like you were talking before the camera was on, is that you're like me, where it's like I almost don't want to live off of it, because it becomes then it takes away from the fun.
I feel like I'd have to sell out a little bit to do that. Like, I'd have to start making keychains and certain things to like, so I have the small stuff too, because you know, people don't want to always drop like $500 on a custom art piece that someone's got, you know, 40 hours into, or however much. It, like, for me to be able to monetize that, I'd have to be able to charge a rate that would be equivalent to what my daily is right now. And I don't know, maybe we'll get there one day. Maybe, you know, this is still relatively new. Like, this isn't something I discovered until I was like, what, 35 years old. Like, which I find is really inspiring in itself, because like, for me being 35, like I just turned 35, I've got 2 kids, and my entire life was always like, I have to make my music career by 27. Like 30 years old, I've got to retire from music and go get a full-time job and do what society says. At 30 is when like this opportunity with work like this came into my and about 5 years later now that I've been doing this and working music full time. And it just, there's like a weird transition for me where it was like I can benefit so much more people if I was just to stop focusing on like me writing music for me and stopped. This is just personal though for me too, right? Like, being a musician, it's like I was saying, there's like a duty where I feel like I have to inspire a younger generation, or like leave a message that lasts, because it is like that auditory thing where it's like I can only say so much and it's not going to last 100 years down the road, right? Like, I have my lifetime to say it. And then hitting 35, interviewing Andy and Laura Lee from Down the Lees. They're both in their 50s. And Down the Lees is just starting to go, you know what I mean? So it's like, you're never too old to find your passion or what you're good at and to just go full bore with it. And I think that you found it at 35 is super inspiring for anyone who's like stuck. I was like, what do I do? I'm 35, 40s, and like I'm tired of what I'm doing full time. It's like, you can still find your passion. Well, and even the Lego mosaics, I didn't figure that out until I was 45.
Right.
And it was just like the first time I tried to customize one, and it was like, that actually turned out pretty good. And then I went on to build like 14 more that year, and it was like, that was my focus. And now it's like, it's something I've embraced, is like, that's going to be like, moving forward, it's going to be a mix of this and that, because I just sorted through 12,000 pieces last night, and I just bought a lot of plates off of a guy down in Chilliwack, one of my staff that I used to have down there, went and picked them up for me, like 20 base plates, and it's just gonna take off through that now and just keep building that out. So it's finding, if you'd have told me 10 years ago that this is where I'd be at, I wouldn't have believed you.
10 years ago, like, you're gonna be building Lego mosaics and metal.
If you show me a picture of the piranha plant or this or anything else, I would have been like, you're kidding. Like, yeah, I didn't, so you're 100% right. You don't know until you try something new. And that's a big thing in life, is just try new things. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of failure, like you're talking, because when you have those failures, that's when you learn something. You learn something about yourself. You learn something about that process, and you can't let it discourage you. You gotta just get back on the horse and put your mind to it, and sometimes walk away for a while and find something else to focus on, and just let it marinate in the background, because it comes around. And yeah, we're all capable of achieving so much. It's believing in ourselves, and I think that's what this process, these are things I didn't know I was capable of, and the more I surprised myself, the more I believe in myself. And it's you know, cautiously. 'Cause
Yeah,
I-
you have to be
you know,
careful about what you're doing.
Like I can still wind up on the wall of shame today, but but yeah, you just I don't know. It's a process, man. It's a growth. It's like I think that's where like even just the last time you were here, like between that time and now, like I've grown so much as a person just through the things that have happened in my personal life, dealing with some loss, you know, different challenges at work. You know, it's forced me to have to change and adapt. And yeah, and I think that's where a lot of people kind of will sell themselves short, where they'll just get stuck and they'll kind of find a happy spot that this is my safety zone and I'm just going to stay inside this zone. And yeah, if we were all open to the love and support that is around us, if we're able to be a little bit vulnerable and put ourselves out there and share our feelings and thoughts and all that sort of thing. I'm plugging right now hard because it's June and it's Mental Health Month for men, and this is something that's near and dear to me.
Yeah. I'm very open about like being a person who battles mental health issues, and I think it's become like the biggest drive for me, like finding out that I had mental health issues. So,
Well, when you're conscious of it,
yeah.
you can manage it.
Yeah, well, like I had to fight. I had to put myself through counseling and do all that, like physically put myself, because like no one else is gonna do it, right? You kind of gotta. It's one of those, I hate to say it, but it's like one of those man up moments. It's like you gotta man up and go do it, dude.
Yeah, I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for the help that's out there.
Yeah,
and
me
it's
too.
helped me to learn what I needed to about myself, to be a better man, not be so hard on myself, manage my expectations of myself, and be okay with like taking time for myself.
Yeah.
Because sometimes and openly communicating, like, you know, with my partner or whatever, to, you know, it's a balance. Like everything in life's a balance, right? Whether it's our diet or our hobbies or art or bills or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's all keeping that balance. And yeah, life's thrown me a few curveballs, but it's made me a better person. And like it's reaching out for that help and working through these things is something I'll probably never see these people ever again. Thank you, all of you, if
Yeah.
you see this.
Right.
But yeah, it's there's a lot of knowledge to be had out there if you're willing to open your mind to different thoughts and ideas. And sometimes we can be narrowed onto what we see in our field of vision with the blinders on and everything else. And I very much look at life as like a giant pie plate. And perspective is from the outside towards the center. And as far as we can find ourselves around that circle, we'll never have all of it. I'll never know what a gay man has had to deal with, or like, any number of situations out there that could fit on that circle. But I can do my best to try and see everything else that is available to me. And I think it helps me not understand, appreciate the side of the circle that I can't see.
Yeah, like have empathy for them.
100%.
Yeah, and you know, that's the thing too. Is like nobody has the same life.
Like
right?
I'll hopefully never have lost a child. You know,
Yeah.
like there's certain people you can't
Yeah.
compare yourself to certain situations, right?
Yeah, and I
But-
think that and that's where I was saying is like being a musician. It's like that's our duty, is to say those things and to bring up those topics and the hard conversations that people don't like to hear, and write about that, because it will help people in the long run. Like most people connect with a song that resonates through an emotional strain or a loss or something that they can relate to. Music does that for me, and it's very hard for me to find art that physically moves me as like music does, painting wise. Like I have a hard time finding paintings that will move me and be like, oh wow, that's incredible. Like I look at them like it's beautiful, I see the colors. That's all I can see though. Like I have a terrible time with painting, which is why I enjoy talking to painters. because they changed my perspective big time, especially abstract artists. I'm like, never understood it. When we talked with Fiona Neal a couple years ago, she just blew my mind as to what like other artistic disciplines have and how they see it, because I am very blinders on being a musician. My artistic endeavor is music and film, so those two go hand in hand. So I have a hard time looking at an outside perspective of what like emotional value goes into painting, or how much emotional value goes into like this piece right here, right? Like you can't, you feel that when you built it, and it's there for you when you see it, and to the people you give. And I think this is where music and art, like paintings and sculptures and metalwork, differ, and why I'm so drawn to understanding your aspect of the art world with this TV series, is because I have that hard time to connect with seeing something and seeing the emotional value behind it unless I was there, or I can feel it. Like with music I can be put into that thing. So it's me trying to like almost humble myself and to appreciate other people's art forms, like, because obviously I appreciate what friends do and what they make and what other people make, but to understand it from your perspective, how valuable the art that you make is, just like how valuable my music is to me, is a cool way for me to like bridge that gap. And we're saying we're like, everyone's so separated nowadays. There's no difference between art forms. We're all artistic people, and each artistic person usually battles depression or an rough upbringing, or has had loss, traumatic experiences, and that's how we work through it, is through our art form. So I find it really unique the way you chose to go about making art, because it is very outside the box. It's not like, I'm trying to phrase it so that I'm not insulting other artists right now, because there's some metalwork that I've seen within the Okanagan there's a lot of great confused stuff on it. No, it's just confusing, because I'm like, I don't like that's that emotional value behind the artwork, right? Like I look at it, I'm like, that's 3 pieces of metal welded together. I don't understand it. But then once you talk to the artist and the artist explains it, it's like you kind of it's harder to relate with physical art versus something that's like teaching you words or telling you words, I guess.
Well, and with the music, you have emotion in there. There's inflection in the words.
Yeah.
Like it's a little more clear, the message. And
it's just it's hard.
Yeah, I don't know.
I love it, trying to understand it, and I think that's why.
Other than like gifts and stuff like that, I don't think a lot of my stuff has been so much about having a message or whatever. It's about that challenge, that personal challenge, and just really trying to make stuff I think is neat. Like when I came up with the idea for the Piranha Plant, I'm like, I could see it in my head, and I was like, and I made it the exact same way that and that was so rewarding. And then like that was the first time I really garnered a whole bunch of attention on Instagram on a piece of art, and it was just like, wow, it's so neat to just that people are seeing this. And so yeah, I don't know. I think as time goes on, it's going to be more, when I'm talking about the Abominable Snowman, like this, just pushing the boundaries and challenging different things that I, again, never seen before. Something like, because like that would be something that would be neat now to put a sculpture somewhere, and someone's gonna walk by and go, "What is that? What's it all about?" Or whatever. With the first snowfall, everybody's gonna figure it out real fast. So
I mean, like you went from creating like little statues of hockey players to now you're thinking like Da Vinci level. Almost,
I don't know if it's,
but like that creative, like I'm outside the box, and like. Your brain's working on a totally different medium now than it was 2 years ago, and you can see it even in the way you're thinking about like new projects, and it's kind of cool because like that's that evolution of an artist. You're always evolving, right?
Yeah, I joke sometimes that it'll be like eventually one day it'll just be over, but at the same time I just keep coming up with ideas, and which is making it really hard to let go, because it's like, until I get these things out, I don't think it's ever going to feel right. Maybe by then I'll be like, and I'll find something else that I I'll put it down and pick up something else. Maybe that's when we get the forge and I start doing some different blacksmithing type stuff or whatever. But I don't know. There's, I appreciate the compliment, so I'm not going to pass over that. It's, for me, it was in my wheelhouse because working around cars and metal and stuff like that, it was the natural kind of thing to gravitate towards, and then it was alarmingly easy to pick up materials. And then once people started seeing, people started dropping stuff off. Like the amount of hammerheads I have in the one bucket, like there's probably 30 of them in there. Like the hand saws, I've got like at least a dozen. It's just more and more stuff, and then eventually it'll get to where it's like, okay, what are we doing with these? We turn them into signs. Are we doing, we building something out of them?
I think it's beautiful to see passion in other people. I think that's what really like ignites my passion for doing what I do, if that makes sense. Because if you're constantly trying to, like you said, stay in the same area, it's stagnant. And like, I don't think you'll ever get to a point where you stop. I think you'll be like 90 and still puttering around and building things. You know what I mean? I hope so. Because you're always gonna have a new idea, and that's the thing, is you're always like. Maybe
that's when I'll be happy doing the simpler stuff, and I'm down at the farmers market,
or like micro figurines. Like that would be.
There's some really neat stuff out there. Like,
right?
There's one lady, Cindy Chin, I follow on Instagram, and she does metalwork and stuff, but she also does like those pencil carvings.
Oh, wow.
And like she'll use like a carpenter's pencil and like whittle it down to it's just the lead, and then like have this like series of elephants where they're like holding tail and trunk or whatever. And I see that stuff, and it's just like, that would be so neat though. And I have messed around with soapstone a few times. It's super easy to carve. I don't know. My mind's kind of open to everything now, because there's stuff that I've discovered just through trying new things, and maybe like I've never painted before. I look at a painting very much the same way you do. It's like I may as well be watching television because I have no idea how this works. Like I have no idea how we achieve this, and it blows my mind. The creativity that comes over there, and the brush strokes, and that, like you're saying, with even abstract artists, you start looking at, it's like, okay, well, I can see that was like a smear, not a brush stroke, like there, but everything has significance in those pieces. It's
it's mind-boggling. It's hard to wrap your head around as like a physical or an auditory, like the visual thing, right? That's why I love the different disciplines of art.
Even music, though, man, it's like a total mystery to me, and I love it. But like thinking about these guys that like, they were so broke back in the day that they get 2 turntables and a couple records together to be able to make some music out of, because they had nothing else to listen to. And and somebody figured this out, and how to, like, that just blows my mind.
Yeah.
Like the amount of trial and error that would have had to go into that, and then that spawned that whole culture, and you look how significant that's been on like life in general, which is like, it's huge. And even just like I don't know, I'm sure you'll see inside, we have a bass and a guitar. We haven't learned how to play anything yet. We're not starting a band, so don't worry.
Right.
But like, I'd love to explore that, because it's something that like my entire life has been like growing up listening to classic rock music, finding my own taste in the 80s and early 90s, and then basically like I was a teenager in the 90s, graduated in 97, so I was like right there for like the golden age of like Snoop and Dre and like all that was going on at that time. And the whole grunge scene, the metal scene, the punk scene, like everything that was going on at that time was insane. You had bands like Primus and Faith No More, and like every edge of and everything was amazing and unique and cool. And I think that's a huge inspiration on, wanting to be different. And is because like these are all the people that I really looked up to and idolized over the years. Still listen to a lot of that same stuff. Music's a huge driver for me, for sure.
I think music is something that everybody should learn, because I think it's in.
Oh, I did at one time.
Us.
I played trombone in grade 8.
Nice.
It lasted that year.
Yeah, my brother played for grade 8 as well. But it's just that it is naturally in us. And so is painting. That's another one that is like, we've been doing it since cavemen.
Yeah.
You know, we've been painting on caves forever. And when we realized we could build a drum, we started building them and made music. And I think that it's just naturally embedded in us as humans, like our species, is to like have these creative wants to push ourselves. Like when we were monkeys, we came up with tools because we wanted to create something, you know, like, oh, this benefits me. So we create something that always benefits us. And then we created art, and I think art is really like, I think it is the one thing that could, if anything could unite the world, it would be artists. But we would all have to get together. You'd have to have all the disciplines work together to be able to do it, but to make one giant masterpiece. You have the music, the visual, the sculptures, the actors, the dancers, and it's like all of that together is like what creates humanity at the end of the day that will last forever. Because they're like, our architecture falls, you know what I mean? Our societies dwindle away and turn into dust, but like, we dig up the pottery, we dig up the paintings, we dig up the instruments. That's what lasts forever. And I think in a time where like, especially right now, the world is so divided that it's like, it is our duty as artists to like create something that is the next Woodstock, or, you know, like the next Banksy, who has a piece of art that's just like so awe-inspiring on the streets that you're like, whoa. Or trying to remember his name. There's this really unique sculpture artist, and he creates these really elaborate pieces and just leaves them around all over the place. And you don't even know, like for the longest time people didn't even know who he was, but he was just leaving these like stone pillars, I believe they were, or glass pillars.
Oh, yeah, I remember when that, because they were like...
No one knew, everyone thought they were aliens, but
Yeah,
it was just
yeah,
some
I remember
artist,
that,
right?
yeah.
And it's just like that shock value is what like really
Because they were
connects us.
popping up all over the world, too.
Yeah, so it's like, those are those unique artists, like where you're creating just like, you're thinking the next level. Like we all start off as like, oh, I want to play the basic, like as a musician, 4 chords. And then we all of a sudden we get into like writing music that changes people's emotional value. And artists start off with what they're good at, and then they find their niche. And then all of a sudden, the possibilities just unlock. And I think you're just starting to like, with the ideas that are coming, like, oh, now I want to do an 8-foot piranha plant, and I want to do this and that. It's like, I think they're only going to continue to pop up. You're not going to slow down.
Yeah, very well may be. I think it's right now, it's just the docket's kind of full. I've been like trying not to think too, and honestly, part of my brain's going towards the Lego stuff right now as well. So it's like, I want to get through my backlog here so I can focus on that for a while, which will probably then manifest itself in me starting to attack that piranha plant or my abominable snowman idea or something.
What if you merged the two and did like metal Lego like portraits?
Yeah, I've thought about doing mosaics, but with metal, and like taking that kind of concept and applying it. I did do one that was a commission a few years ago that I like layered the cowboy on the horse, and he was roping a steer, and actually had like copper wire, so it like looked like the rope was kind of popping off. One of the very few commissions that I've ever done, and it turned out really neat, and it definitely got me thinking, like, as long as you had recognizable, like, what do they call it? They're like profiles. Like, so it's like, oh, that's Old Dirty Bastard, or that's, it would have to be recognizable enough, because I don't know.
You can mess it up really badly, but I think
I've tried to fart around with it a little bit with like trying to make a Super Mario pixelated out of nuts, and using like the rusty ones for the brown and the, like different colors to try and I couldn't get it to look right. It's because they're all hexagon, right? So it just didn't quite fit the way I was wanting, but that doesn't mean that I won't revisit it. I've got a ton of material, and it may be something that happens one day. Maybe it needs to be bigger. Maybe. Like that might be, maybe I was trying to make it too small, and I was trying to go pixel for pixel, where if I go a little bit bigger, I could get the detail that I need in it. But yeah, it'll just be flying by the seat of my pants. That's the nice thing about not having any pressure, is I can just kind of go at my own pace, do what I want when I want, and when the creativity grabs a hold of me, I'll just fly with it.
Yeah. If you had any advice for somebody who is starting metalwork and wanted to get into it, what would it be?
Gosh. Yeah, honestly, don't be afraid to fail. It's going to take a few tries. You're going to cut things apart and put them back together. Get some good magnets and use lots of tape to hold things in place when you need. And make sure you have a well-ventilated area. And yeah, don't give up on yourself. Just start small. Don't set your sights on the most difficult thing. Build the skill set slowly. Let it grow organically, because it will come. It just takes time. You learn with every little step. So
awesome. Well, we're gonna hop into a live experience where you guys get to watch Scott actually work on a project, and a really cool project I'm extremely excited for. So we're gonna stop the stream and we will be right back.